Hello, everyone. Welcome to the supplementary IPython dev meeting for Thursday, January 22nd. We have a relatively short agenda, but with 3.0 approaching, it's very likely that we'll find some other things. Yes, we're quickly finding other things to talk about, in fact.
So I guess the first thing is the many issues caused by the fixed header.
Yeah.
So I made a PR that makes the header a static element on the page, which initially broke printing but doesn't anymore.
Okay. And so now it looks like you're using the flexible box model for this.
Yeah, which is what caused the printing to die. And so it's just, it sets flexbox when unless printing, basically, is all it does.
Ah. Okay. And so what were the other issues? Looks like Pager was working fine.
Yeah.
Have we tested some large notebooks, like the ones that Robert Johansson had with all the complex LaTeX? And
I didn't have an example handy. If you post a link, I can compare the feeling of it, since we don't have any good metrics.
Well, but don't, Matthias, I thought you'd figured out how to use the Chrome Dev Console to look at page redraws.
Yeah, you just have to check one checkbox and you see the
repaint events and everything. Okay, yeah, if that's all we're after, I can do that easily.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it seems like, and that wasn't the only the links to the heading cells wasn't the only thing we had found.
Yeah, no, there've been a lot of things that are a result of making the notebook the whole body. That a lot of things don't work very well when you do that.
So here's a question: the terminal page doesn't scroll the body of the page, the whole page. The text editor page.
I mean, oh, so you mean with this fix?
Well,
after this PR.
Well, and part of what I'm asking about is, does this affect the scrolling of all pages?
I think the answer is yes.
Okay, so all pages will scroll in this new way. And I'm
the terminal page doesn't use this scrolling as far as I'm aware. The terminal widget, term.js, has its own scrolling behavior.
Yes, but so here's why I'm asking. So John has a pull request open so that the text editor page doesn't scroll anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The terminal page doesn't scroll the whole page. Right now, in master, the dashboard does scroll the whole page with the header fixed. I'm wondering if we can make just the notebook, basically the dashboard lists scroll, so that the buttons at the top can be fixed to address some of the usability issues with the next item on our agenda, where the dashboard buttons scroll off the screen if you have a long list of notebooks.
Yeah, basically the buttons on the dashboard belong in the header. They don't belong in the they belong in the header. They should be treated like a header. That's where they should live, right? Like the menu bar or toolbar.
How would you do that? So would you create a toolbar for all of the different tabs?
Unless you want to, I mean, let's see.
Because
it's not going to play well with. Yeah. So what would we do? We would take the content of the tabs and make that something that is kind of shrink to fit.
I mean but and I guess
And then you get a scroll bar inside the tab. So like there's the outline of the tab. You get a scroll bar inside that, not on the end of the page.
Yes, I mean that's how Gmail works, right?
Yeah, it's basically a scrollable pane.
Yeah, a scrollable. Although weird, in Gmail the buttons scroll out of view. I didn't realize that.
It depends on which buttons.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
I would rather not address that one, but I don't know. With the checkbox stuff makes it a lot worse.
Yeah. Yeah. So so in Gmail, I'm just looking at a few different UIs like this. In Gmail, the buttons scroll out of view as you scroll through your list of emails. In Google Drive, the buttons at the top are fixed, and it's just a list.
Not for me. In Gmail, for me, the buttons stay fixed.
Yeah, in Gmail the buttons stay in place for me too.
You know what? It's probably that I'm using multiple inbox.
So in Gmail, it does both, basically.
Okay. So there's precedent for us to do either, but I agree. It does on real long.
Yeah,
list.
GitHub definitely scrolls controls off the page all the time.
Okay, but I mean, John can address the usability issues in his pull request for the dashboard. I just want to understand how this pull request of yours changes the dashboard scrolling behavior.
It basically doesn't change the scrolling behavior of anything. It behaves exactly the same as the fixed header.
But the page is not.
But it's implemented differently so that it doesn't ruin everything.
Okay.
So it shouldn't change, as far as your experience, it should be the same as master,
Okay,
other
no,
than fixing broken bits.
And I'm asking about the implementation.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
The implementation is that instead of a fixed header and scrolling the body, it is a static header and then a div that is the size of the rest of the page.
Okay, using
and scrolling inside that div.
Okay, and it's the flex box that is sizing that.
Is the only reasonable way to express fill the rest of the page unless you're doing on resize, measure, statically size, which is what Flexbox does anyway. But
it probably doesn't.
It's the same thing, but it's doing it in the official browser optimized way, which may or may not be any good. But
yeah.
It's
Okay.
the one and only official way to do that.
Okay. No, that's.
And I'm absolutely not saying there aren't things that this app horribly breaks. I just haven't noticed them. Like I didn't notice the print one because I've never printed on purpose. But that was easy enough to fix.
Yeah. Why don't if we can do the performance test just to see what that looks like?
Mm-hmm.
We should probably merge it as fast as we can so we get lots of time in master.
Yeah.
Where's
Checkbox. You don't have John.
Yeah, so maybe we want to wait. Well, although I'll say a few things. So this adds a checkbox to the left side of each dashboard item and removes the per dashboard item buttons. And when you click on items, it adds buttons at the top that are appropriate to what you've selected and allows you to do multiple selection actions. So shut down all notebooks, delete certain things, and it also makes it so that all of our content type, notebooks, files, and directories can all be new created, renamed, or deleted in the dashboard. It's a little bit of the refactoring that we've sort of talked about for a long time. Basically, we just need people to play with it and give us usability feedback. I talked with John a little bit yesterday about your comments, and yeah, I mean we were seeing and talking about the same things. And
Yeah. I played with it and it didn't seem done yet, but it seems like it's still going.
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, I think it makes sense. The only well, other than the significant increase in mouse movement to do single actions, but I don't really care about that. Yeah, I think the only significant disadvantage that this introduces, what you're talking about a minute ago, is the being able to scroll the action buttons off the screen, because they're static. But if we make the list scrollable by whatever mechanism.
Yeah. No, I think we need to at least look at that and see what we can do that solves that.
My first guess was wrong.
Well, that worked badly.
But yeah, we can figure it out.
What were you guessing about?
Just setting max height on the right div.
So sell scroll bars on WebKit.
Yep.
Who's is that you, Thomas, or?
I mean, I went through the list of pull requests and copied a bunch of things that were marked needs decision onto the hack pad, just so we could.
Yeah, thank you.
But I have no special insight on what's going on with this.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen this.
I seem to have. That's me who added the need decision. Apparently, it's a hack that had a timeout to fix one of our issues. It doesn't seem too invading, so I would be fine to merge, but it's still a hack.
Yeah, the main thing is getting rid of the 0 bottom padding on output sub area, which means it increases the space between outputs. So yeah, we can. I think we should probably play with it. And yeah, the main effect of the padding change is that it will if you display 2 things in a row, they'll be closer together than they used to be, or farther apart than they used to be. So we should check on that. I've also never seen these scroll bars, so I don't know how to reproduce it. But I can maybe try to push it. Yep.
Okay. Link and delink. That pull request has been sitting there for a while. I haven't really been following it. What's going on with that?
We lost
Brian,
who's the only person with something to say about it.
Ah, okay.
Matlab Cell Magic, I don't think it works.
I think Brian added a needs decision on the grounds that even if it did work, he might not go for it. So maybe we need to wait for Brian for that as well.
Yep. Help links don't work anymore.
Yeah, I have 2 fixed. It's because we added the prevent default on all list elements as an href attribute. So basically, when we try to open a link, it basically does not open. So either we do it on each action, each menu item individually at a prevent default, or we remove the href equal hash on the template. So we have empty a element.
Yeah, removing the href doesn't really work because the Bootstrap menus don't render properly when you do that.
They do for me.
Like the hovers and link hovers and all that stuff.
Oh.
So I don't think that one can work.
But is that our template or our CSS or Bootstrap CSS?
Bootstrap, I think, or even browser. Because an A without an href is not a link, so it shouldn't do any link stuff. Oh no, putting prevent default back everywhere. Nightmarish.
If what we were doing before was adding prevent default on all links which had an href, can we just do it on all links which have an href set to hash?
So also, here's the thing, that prevent default, I'm pretty sure that was a bug caused by the fixed header.
Yeah.
So it might be that the static header also fixes that, and we can remove the so that many prevent defaults became one prevent default. I think putting the static header back might let us just get rid of it and be fine. So we should check that, because we didn't need it before, and introducing the fixed header, I believe, is what caused us to need it. So I think we can. I'm absolutely not sure about this, but we should check if just removing the prevent default with the static header also fixes it, which is just another reason we should get rid of the fixed header.
Okay.
Crossing my fingers that that's actually the way, because that would be the nicest one, right? If we don't have to do hacky stuff like preventing events from happening, even though they should be. Okay. Kyle, try Jupyter.
I have to unmute myself.
Yep.
There we go. Okay, cool. So this got brought up a little bit ago, but I wasn't sure if I was just added today. Yeah, I think we could go ahead and go with try Jupyter. I'm of the staunch opinion that it should be in an iframe now, and with the redirects, or just forcing them to have the redirects. I think that's kind of where we're at. Even if we go up to lots of WebSockets, it wouldn't handle any big spike from like that notebook viewer sometimes sees. Yeah.
Well,
so I guess.
I guess it's a limit. We've got a limit on the number of containers, right? Which I guess
and we have a limit on the number of containers.
So yeah, if we set that to be like, we won't have a problem unless everybody has 3 notebooks. Then something like that. Should make it hard to fall down. Not impossible.
Yeah, and I mean, and you can give people more resources if we're subdividing a machine that has like 40 cores. That's a big machine on its own, but it's like nothing across 1,000 users.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay. Oh, and Brian's gone, and he was the one that originally argued against the iframes. So I think that means that's a yes, and I'll create the repo, and we'll go.
I didn't realize there was an argument against the iframe.
I said it like months ago. I said I really want to do this with an iframe. I think that was fairly clean. Like, it means people can't share that direct one, but that's not like the reason that we have the site up. I guess the scoping to me is just a way to try the site.
I guess we could, with some iframe message shenanigans, we could do some URL thing. But I think not having I don't know. I forgot about that trade-off. Now I remember that conversation. But I would still be for the iframe.
Okay. Yeah, we could do that, and if people are asking for some way to post them, I don't know. I guess I'd prefer that if people are going to post them, it somehow gets over to a gist, to MBViewer or something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Cool. I'll just make one static page repo on Jupyter. That's jupyter/try.jupyter.org.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I'll get that started.
And I had one question.
So we get echo from Kyle.
We have both nbviewer.org, actually, the 3 nbviewer.org, nbviewer.ipython.org, and nbviewer.jupyter.org that works. I think we said at some point in the past that we would redirect to only one.
Yeah, to Jupyter.
I think it was only nbviewer.org without anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forget. But
and I just saw that all the things were working, so we should probably.
You were for a second, so I didn't get your last sentence.
And I saw that because at some point nbviewer.ipython.org was down and not the one Jupyter, which was weird.
Yeah.
So if we should just like switch everything, redirect everything to the same website so that we start migrating URLs.
Yeah. We should do that.
Sorry. If my Google Hangouts decided to kill my entire computer, and then I eventually, it's working on my phone, but I only have one phone, and there is another cell phone on vibrate in my office that just started to ring. It's not my phone.
Sure, it's not a prank from John.
I'm seriously perplexed. Like this makes absolutely no. Anyway, I'm back. I don't have a computer, but okay.
So what did we?
Link and delink was the request that removes some things or renames some things, and I don't really know what's going on with it. It's been sitting there with not a lot happening for a while, so I just wanted to.
I think Brian and John were going to come up with a proposal.
Yep, I was the one that sort of opened it up and it's sort of widget API naming stuff. So he and I will sit down and at least come up with a proposal and comment on that.
And the other thing was the matplotlib cell magic that somebody opened a pull request, and I don't think it was working. But Brian, you said even if it was working, you wouldn't be in favour.
This is the one that tried to do subtle state manipulations and all that.
It's basically a cell magic that it's a cell magic that is basically a context manager. It's basically matplotlib.with backend as a cell magic instead of a context manager, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, and I think part of it is that I'm not convinced that we can do that in a robust enough way that it's worth doing at all. And so I'm not thrilled about it. And I think my other complaint is that while I can imagine that someone somewhere could find a reason to use that, I don't think that affects a lot of users. So, but I don't know, what do the other people think?
We had another pull request which was implementing something similar as the context manager. So it sounds like matplotlib may already have a context manager to do this.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that I forget if it's an issue that
I got close to stale with the context manager one.
Yeah. I did like the idea of either IPython or matplotlib starting to import and initialize the inline backend by default.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like that's sort of stalled, and it wasn't clear which project it should be in.
Yeah, the advantage of it being in matplotlib is that it's easy to check if matplotlib is in IPython. For IPython to check, we need an import hook that checks every import for whether it's a matplotlib import.
Yes.
So, yeah, but at the same time, it's really IPython's behavior that should change, or it's IPython that's picking what it should do. IPython is picking matplotlib's behavior. So I could go either way, but I think at this point it's too late for 3.0. Off the table.
Okay. Yep, that's fine.
That's.
But with the matplotlib cell magic thing, do we want to just say we're punting, or do we want to close it and say we don't want to do this? I mean,
If it doesn't work, not for 3.0.
Well,
yeah, no, not for 3.0 at least.
I think we're agreed that it's not for 3.0, but it's
Is it related?
The author out and say, well, maybe we'll do this for 4.0, or do we just say no, we're not doing this?
Is it related to the issue where when you have matplotlib some GUI in one cell and you do run all, it doesn't work?
I think it would inevitably run into that. We would have to resolve that issue before this could ever work.
Yeah.
So that's
before this could ever work robustly anyway.
So that's an answer, like not before this issue is resolved.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to establish is whether we say like we're happy for this in principle if you can, as and when it can be made to work sometime in the future, or whether we just say no, we don't want to do this. And
yeah, I mean,
because if it's a magic, you can always do it as an extension. So us saying no doesn't mean it's unavailable.
Yeah, you know, I think that's
it
a
just
reasonable.
means we're not committing to maintaining it.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable approach for us to take in this case.
Say not for core, but
yeah. And if it turns out that
core as an extension,
that extension becomes really robust and people are using it, okay, then we can reconsider it. But I don't think we should start with it in core.
And it sounds like, Min, you were saying Matplotlib has a with backend.
I thought it did. That could be making that up.
It sounds vaguely familiar to me as well. So maybe all of this is unnecessary in IPython anyway.
Yeah. The IPython bits are, I think. No, draw interact. Yeah, it's making the right draw calls before you leave the context. I think is something that I don't know. But yeah, there's.
Oh yeah, because when we're using the inline backend, we do some bits when the cell finishes running.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And that's part of what makes these complicated is that you have to make sure that you don't leave the context until after run cell returns.
Right.
Which means outside the cell magic is when you have to disable the context. Which means you could do it with you could register a post-execute hook or something that would do it. But doing a simple block context won't encapsulate all the context you actually need.
Okay, that does kind of suggest that a cell magic might be ultimately the way to do this rather than a context manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. In which case I may lean more towards saying not for the moment, but potentially in the future for this PR.
Yeah, and do it as an extension for now. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you can draft a comment there.
Can someone else? I still do not have a computer, so.
Yeah, no, we can do that.
Okay.
I think we got through all the agenda. Kyle, did you want to talk about any of the Try Jupyter stuff now that Brian is here again?
Sure. I jokingly said that we could just go ahead and make the decision because Brian had originally argued against the iframe, but it sounded like you were okay with it now, or like the main try.jupyter.org.
Either you or I are cutting out. Kyle?
Yeah. So I guess we're okay with an iframe at the very front for try.jupyter.org, and then underneath that it's going to do the redirects. So it won't be clear to anyone that they've gone to any particular notebook. Like it's not the place to share a notebook, it's just the place to try it out.
So how let me get my earphone.
Oh, we're getting double echo.
Hold on, I'm gonna mute myself too for a second. Kids are awesome.
All right.
Okay.
In principle, I'm okay. I'm still hearing an echo, but I'll try to talk through it. In principle, I think an iframe is fine. How will an iframe affect our ability to run Google Analytics?
Not at all.
That's fine. I'm actually sticking Google Analytics on the page that contains the iframes right now. And then we can also have Google Analytics inside the notebook container itself.
Okay. And do you think we can run that usability software if we need to? Or that web service?
Yeah, I mean, if you think that's the right domain for it. I guess, so I'd like to outline scope for where we want this. To me, the try thing is, like, how does someone just go ahead and play with it instantaneously?
Yep.
And if we had better hooks in, that maybe we would actually plan that as like an actual usability domain, so that it's tailored towards the tasks that we want someone to perform or whatever.
Well, I think that there's two parts of the usability. There's the more qualitative approaches where we would be running scripted interviews. For that, I mean, it could be on a non-completely public tempNB deployment. I'm more thinking of try.jupyter.org being used for gathering more quantitative focused. So when Tim Clem was asking us, do people use the toolbar? Like, it would be nice if we had just gathering general broad statistics on usage patterns so we could answer yes or no, or 93% of users use the toolbar, and here's the most commonly clicked buttons. And
I think we're going to run into a problem that we would be measuring something that people wouldn't be using as their primary tool.
Yes,
I mean, if we're going to go down that route, like, I would honestly ask users. This is almost scary. Ask users to install an extension which reports Google Analytics data from their notebook. Like, they install it.
We need more than Google
into
Analytics.
it. What's that?
We need more than Google Analytics data. We would need custom codes that send custom events, like click on buttons and keyboard shortcuts.
Yep. But I mean, you can hook up those events. It's not like you have to write your own.
I'm sure if you write the extension and we think to people you can directly analyze your own behavior, we'll have people using the extension.
What's that again? Oh, right, where we give people the option to look at their own data. Yeah, I think that's right in the right nerdy realm.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it sounds like there's no particular problem with the iframes. Which is easier for you to deploy?
Oh, I mean, we can redirect people just fine. It's just that
we can
people tend to have an expectation to be able to use the resource and for things to stick around, and it doesn't. Like their notebooks go away. I mean, like, I enjoy seeing people link, like for tempNB. I enjoy seeing people link to a notebook, but that goes away in like however long they stayed connected or someone stays connected to it.
And can you track all the URLs that have existed? And if someone connects to an URL which is gone, show a message, hey, these notebooks are temporary, now they're gone?
It does tell you that when you come back to one.
Okay.
Yeah. But that doesn't change things. It's like I'm more or less encouraging that behavior because that's how the web works. Like, you copy the URL.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I mean, that's just because, we... Oh, go ahead.
If try.jupyter is the only URL you see, then there's no indication that sharing that URL will share your session.
Yeah.
Your session's not a shareable thing.
So you're thinking that the URL in the bar is just try.jupyter.org/ and all of the UUID session URL is hidden in the iframe.
Yep.
Okay, so no, it does. It actually helps in communicating the right message to our users.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'd like to provide more than that, but we're not really at that state yet.
Okay, let's start here then. That makes total sense.
Okay. I think that was everything.
Kyle, I saw that you had shared a Dropbox folder with me related to Jupyter something.
Yeah, so I was trying to put together architecture diagrams for Temp and B.
Okay, it's that stuff.
But I also I tried draw.io with Google Drive, and that actually was better for sharing.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Use that.
Yeah.
All I know is that there was one XML file in that shared Dropbox folder, and I.
Why did you give me XML, Kyle?
Exactly.
It's just the format they have it as. SVG is XML.
Yeah. Okay. Is that everything?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Bye, Internet.
Bye, everyone.